I started as an artist, and I still do works of art. I paint and I do logos and all sorts of things that if the artwork doesn't go, well, the other may. But the environment is always with me. It is an artwork, but it has a message. When I went to California, I was in California for about 2 years, and I witnessed a disaster on the sea, and I witnessed thousands of birds dying. I made up my mind that from now on I'll speak on behalf of the other species on this planet. So I did, and I've been doing that ever since.
What I always say to Josef is he never knows how much he's affected change. And so I try to encourage Josef with saying, as a human being on our journey, we try to leave less of a footprint. We try to challenge others. The fact that he just keeps on like a dog with a bone and not letting go of the message and challenging people via his art, via his dialogue, via his letters to the editor, via his participation in elections, he's affecting change. You can't document it and say he's changed 3,000 people's viewpoints. Because that 3,000 or 3,200 people, if they each tell one other person, it's 6,400 people. If they each tell 5 people, if they each challenge 10 people, and that's how change happens. That's how cultural shifts happen. It's not taking a gun or a blunt art and hitting people over the head. It's gently showing them and walking the talk and consistently and faithfully making the statement that advances the cause.
Well, I think Josef's done an amazing job at sort of highlighting the challenge that Oakville faces, as so many communities in Canada face, about how to develop and still maintain the ecological integrity of the area. That classic poster that he's done, where it shows the natural environment and then a developed environment, I think really brings the message home.
It's not either or. It's not, oh, you can't have that because you have this. You can have both. But we're not trying enough. Well, a majority of children in Canada, and a good majority, they have everything they want, you know. And they will not feel any need, that much of a need, because we are not training them to be that way. That's why I want to put that print in every school, so they'll go by somewhere on the hallway and say, oh, yeah, and they'll start to think. But the ministers of the environment, they won't let me do it. Ron Ambrose, she says, I'm sorry, I can't help you. That's wrong, very wrong. I participated on the round table. There were people from large corporations, chairman of the boards, cabinet ministers, and so on. It's a long time ago. And I'm not going to name names, but at that time was John Roberts was the Minister of the Environment for Canada. And he says, yes, he says, but he was talking to one individual, I'm not going to say who it was, but what about the environment? Oh, he says, leave the environment alone, leave the environment for the environmentalist. That's the brain he had. So when I heard that, I said, gentlemen, au revoir. I left. I couldn't stomach that attitude towards the environment. So you see, that's the corporations for you. I'm not saying that they are not going to pick up on this, because they'll have to. Because I guess if you guys are working hard enough, you're going to force them to do it. I would suggest that you guys start smarting up and do a little bit more, because it's your world.
I think in many ways the younger generation is ahead of my generation. And I definitely think my generation is ahead of the politicians. I think there's a deep understanding that we need to change and a desire to do that, but we need some leadership.
I hope that they will pick up from my sweat, shall we say, and they'll to continue it if they really want to have a world altogether. And look, you know that our water is going stale in the air. We got problems galore. Kids are having all kinds of sicknesses from breathing this polluted air. So I think that should be enough. So especially you guys should should really work harder to make sure that the younger generation will have something.
Knowledge is empowering, and ask the question. Ask it in a respectful way so you're not being dismissed, but make the point. You have a choice. And walk your talk. If you're really going to withstand the scrutiny of sincerity here, you've got to walk your talk.
Smoke signals are everywhere. All you have to read into it. I mean, this is not a secret anymore. It's around us, and we know that we have problems.
Don't take any bullshit from the politicians and from people in charge. You hear a lot of lies and you hear a lot of untruths, and you really have to sort through for yourself to find the truth. And you have to think of the future. And it's hard for young people because they live in the moment, but you have to look long term. It's hard for everybody, I mean adults too, and that's half the problem with human beings. We don't look long term enough. But we really have to start considering the impacts of what we do on many generations into the future. And I think that you have to ask a lot of hard questions and not be satisfied until you get good answers.
We still have a lot of I hope that we can improve on it and continue further. But see that baby that I have there? That's called a continuation. It depicts a man's effort to pull the child out of the daily mud that we're creating. You can see the mud dripping. That's called, so we can continue. But if we don't, I'm sorry, we won't have a world. I'm just being down to earth, and I know what's ailing us. If you want to pick up on that, good. If not, well, too bad for you. This is how I look at it.